Welcome to the Health Coach Nation podcast. I'm your host, Hailey Rowe, and I help you get clients consistently, market your standout offers, build your business foundations like your messaging, your niche, your offer, and I help you build a sustainable, profitable coaching business that works with your schedule. And I'm so excited to dive into the show. Here we go. Guess what? I'm so excited to announce that my free private training sharing how to book paying clients consistently without posting more or needing a big audience is now live for an encore. You can check it out at haileyrowe.com/training. You get to learn more about the inner circle. You get to learn the behind the scenes of what I share with my clients and learn how you can get your next clients without needing to obsess with stressful launches, annoying tech, all that kind of stuff. So check it out and can't wait to hear how it goes for you.
Hey, I'm live today with a special guest, Trevor Davis, and we are going to be talking with you today about email marketing and some do's and don'ts when it comes to building your list and emails and all that good stuff. So Trevor, why don't you introduce yourself first and we'll get into it.
Yeah, you bet. Great to be here with you, Hailey, and happy December, everyone. Excited to be chatting with you today about email marketing. I'm a copywriter and copy coach, and for the last few years, been really helping coaches grow their businesses, really from wherever in the world. I'm also a digital nomad, been traveling around the world this past year, and loving, helping people grow their email lists and grow their email marketing and their business because of it. So excited to tell you a bit more today about, all I've really learned from email marketing and working with coaches. So happy to get into that with you today.
Yeah, and I'm a huge fan of email marketing. I think a lot of people dismiss it because initially they have maybe a small list and so they don't see the potential. But when you grow your list and over time, your email list is really your best group of people to be marketing to and warmest connections I've found. And it's really thrilling when you could send an email and suddenly get a discovery call booked or get people signing up for your program or your course. And it's all possible with good copy, good freebies, list building, all that good stuff. So let's talk. And, part of the things I work on with my clients is like, what kind of freebies should you have? And what's your email sequence templates? And, what email CRM system should you use? And I think a lot of people get overwhelmed. And so I want to talk with you a little bit about where to start and on all that good stuff. So what tips would you have when it comes to deciding how to grow your list and what kind of like freebie you should have?
Yeah, great question. I think that I know I've seen a lot of your stuff is the importance of knowing your niche, right? And being narrowed down on who you're serving and what's important to them. And if you don't know everything about your potential or your ideal client avatar, then it's hard to really talk about what's going to be valuable for them and how to structure what might be a good lead magnet, what freebie you're going to give away. And, I always tell my clients as well, it's like, well, if you're going to start sending out emails to people, you want to know that they're going to be interested to hear more of what you've got to say. And that all starts with a really great freebie. So what I like to, kind of break it down with is going through a simple sort of process of knowing your niche, right? I always go with the classic line in copywriting is if you're writing to everyone, you're writing to no one. And, it starts with doing some good research, going through the kind of steps that, Hailey might take you through and getting really dialed in with knowing who your niche is and knowing who that ideal client avatar is, what might be keeping them up at the night, what they're working on right now, what stage they're at in their business, and or whoever it might be, your end client in their life, and then really creating a sort of lead magnet that helps solve that core problem that they're experiencing. So that's really where I start. It all starts in knowing who you're trying to work with and who you want to be on your email list, and then if you deliver great value through that lead magnet, they'll be excited to continue to hear from you and get more value from what you have to say.
Yeah. And I want to highlight there that freebie is going to solve one problem, not 7 different problems. Because if you make it too extreme or a 200-page ebook or something that's going to take them forever to implement, they're never going to end up booking a call with you because they're going to be so busy doing your freebie for so long that they're like, oh yeah, I forgot. I need to reach out to this person, right? But if you leave them wanting more and they got a quick win from the freebie and they see that you can help them create a result in their life, then they're more likely to probably book. Is that what you've seen in your experience?
Yeah, great point. Writing the 200-page book is really going to just get people lost. Probably won't read it, won't get the chance to really learn about what you can help them solve. And if you can solve that one quick problem, I kind of always try to, think of it being snappy, something they can read, implement, and think, wow, this was awesome. Let me learn more from this person. Let me delve deeper into their world.
Yeah. So what would be an example of a good freebie for a certain niche? Maybe you can give an example and versus like maybe a bad freebie.
Yeah, sure. So I know you're working with a lot of health coaches, and in that space, I can imagine someone who might be a specific sort of. I mean, you give me an example of what's a good kind of health coach in your group, in your clientele.
Yeah. So one of my clients, she coaches women going through menopause and hormonal changes and helping them, lose a stubborn weight and not emotionally eat, things like that.
Right. So there's two big problems right there. I'm sure there's a myriad of other ones that come with, the hot flashes and whatever else they might be experiencing. And while I don't know that market intimately, I trust your client does. And to think, okay, well, what's that one biggest problem? I always say, what's the biggest known problem that they're experiencing, right? Because there might be some stuff that happens later on through menopause that they might not be aware of yet. And trying to get into solving that is too far for them. What's their immediate, biggest problem you can help them get a quick win in? And maybe that's to quickly, ditch the fat or handle whatever hormonal changes going on through that, and making a quick sort of snappy checklist, snappy sort of guide that could help them do that, rather than writing the full page on the full book on every single step that they might be going through, right? The 7 steps you have to know to go through the first stages of menopause in a smooth way, or whatever kind of wording might come out of that, but something that can be, yes, that sounds like me. Yes, that sounds like a problem I have. And yes, that's a solution that I want to get ASAP.
Yeah. Thinking about like, when you asked the question, what's keeping them up at night? That was such a good question, because think about what they're Googling. Like, oh man, like, and I was just listening to something, I can't remember what it was, but a lady was talking about how in the middle of the night when she was breastfeeding her baby, she was like, how to get my baby to sleep, like how to get my 3-month-old baby to sleep through the night and like not either. And she was desperate in that moment, and she was Googling it, and she ended up buying a course about that, like on the spot, because she was like,
Wow.
I need this problem solved. So if you had a freebie that was like 3 ways to get your newborn baby to sleep through the night or something, as a postpartum coach or something,
Right.
notice how specific that is compared to just how to manage being a new mom. Right? Because that's so broad. That's like what your whole program goes through.
Right. And that doesn't speak to any one particular pain point that is literally keeping them up at night in
Yeah.
that given moment. So that's
Yeah.
a great literal example for them.
For sure. So let's talk about, how does somebody start to grow their email list when they feel like they have a small audience and they're like, okay, cool, Trevor, I made this cool freebie, but what do I do with it now?
Great question. I think that's always the number one kind of question as people are looking, well, I've got a great program, or I've got a great sort of, method that I want to share with the world. And as coaches, we want to put that value out there and start reaching as many people as we possibly can. And while it's, either compare yourself to maybe the bigger coaches you see who've got these lists of thousands of people, and you want to get to that place, I always try to remind people that whether it's a Facebook group or your email list, or just your friends list, you always have an opportunity to build intimacy, build a great relationship with those people, even if it's a small group, right? And starting from there is always going to be something that can build up. So I always think it's a great idea to just put your freebie out in front of people and offer some value to wherever you can, right? So a good example is what we're doing right here. I do have an email marketing guide, a full sort of 7-step PDF, and something that I'd be happy to share with people who might be tuning in right here, right? So being able to teach you guys a bit about email marketing, and then be able to offer you my guide. If you guys see value and you want to stick around on the email list and I can keep teaching you some stuff, that's great, right? And that's some sort of example of where you can put yourself out there, put yourself in front of the right people you want to speak with, and then give them a chance to sign up. I think that it's easy to jump into the world of paid media and think about that being the reason that's holding you back, but you don't need a big Facebook ad budget. You can get started right away with just communicating with people in your sort of world, your niche, your audience, and connecting with others who want to share some of the same goals and same things.
Yeah, I love that. So who can you partner with? So the question isn't how do I go promote my guide? It's like, who can I partner with to collaborate and share my guide? And who do I already know who could really use my guide, or who would know someone who knows someone to use my freebie? So, And, as you're saying here, when you're teaching something or giving value in a social media way, you can always usually connect it to your freebie and mention your freebie. And actually, on this topic, one of the things that I interviewed a successful health coach, and if anybody missed that with Kayla, we did an interview about her journey growing her business to over 6 figures and all that. And you could just comment Kayla below and I'll send you the replay. But she had talked about how when she gets new Instagram followers, she'll welcome them and say, hey, by the way, we have a free gift for our Instagram community. It's my blah, blah, blah guide. Check out the link in bio if you want to get it. Right. So
Great
there's a million
example.
different ways, but it's all about that who. I like how you changed it from not just like, okay, post about it, but who can you connect with?
Right.
So next question would be, what are some maybe do's and don'ts you see with email marketing? First, we'll talk about that, and then I'll ask about different do's and don'ts.
Yeah, you bet. Happy to list off as many as we can here. So yeah, really, I think some of the biggest don'ts that I see people go through is thinking that they have to send an email every single day, or going over the top and they're sending too many emails just because they want to send things. I'll contrast on the other side where people often send too few emails at the same time. So don't mess with frequency. That's one thing I would say is find, just like posting on social media, a rhythm that you feel good about and that you can keep up with, and where you can share value with your audience. If that's once a week, once a month, whatever it might be, start where you are, and then build up from there. Right? You don't want to be sending an email every other hour where you're just we already got enough of that this past week with Black Friday stuff going on. So respect your email list subscribers inboxes, and share stuff that you'd want to read yourself, or that your ideal clients would really want to read. So aim to add value, and don't overdo it or underdo it with your frequency. Consistency is key. I would say another big one when it comes to the actual content of the email, right? We can get into the copy and a million things around that. But don't write such long-winded emails, right? I think people are scared, like, oh, I don't want to have a long email. Long emails are great, right? Some of my clients' best performing emails that have driven the most actual conversions are long emails, talking about their story, talking about what they've experienced and how they've transformed that, right? Using parts of that in the long email can be really effective. But if you're writing 500 words in an email just for the sake of rambling on about something that could have been done in 100 words, right? You don't need it to be long-winded. Long is okay. Don't do long-winded emails. And in that same vein, as we talked about, don't try to solve 10 different problems in one single lead magnet. Don't try to direct people to 10 different places through one email. Have one call to action, and don't drive them to sign up here, go over here, book a call now. Oh, join us in the Facebook group. If there's too much going on in your emails, they're going to be lost and they're not going to take any action at all. So direct people where you want them to click, or if that's a click reply and to engage with you, then do that. But don't send them to 10 different places at once. And on the positive side of things, I would say do just include one call to action. Do personalize your emails. That's what's one big one that is a great way to say, yes, we know this is an automated email going out to a list of tens or hundreds or thousands, but use the first name that people have shared with you. Consider who they are and what pain points they're going through exactly, right? That's the importance we talk about with knowing your niche, and don't try to talk about your potential market in general. Talk about their specific problems that that they are probably experiencing, and don't try to hit on too many different points. So really, to sum it up here, we're talking about being more focused with your emails, being more streamlined, and then you can find a lot of things to optimize, like segmenting your list, so you're talking to different sub niches, in different sort of ways to be able to keep it that personalized. And you might be able to also test around split testing, different subject lines. We can get into the copy and the ways you could really automate. Improve your automations to hit people's inboxes at the right time of day, right day of week, and to get the best results there. But that's a deep dive we could go into for days.
Yeah, well, I'm really glad you shared some of that, because I think it starts with the basics, as you're saying, like pick a frequency you can stick with. Don't obsess about, is the length too long, or just make sure you're not going off on tangents and it gets to the point. Maybe the other thing you said was picking one call to action, which was really good. But I think also once you get that down, as you said, you can go to the next level as far as seeing like what subject lines are working the best and what gets the most clicks in my emails? And if you're using an email system that allows you to send automated emails, your system will tell you that information. So I think a lot of my clients, and part of what I do in my program with them, is help them with the tech overwhelm and like, should they use, what's the simplest way to do this starting out? But a lot of people get so overwhelmed by that they don't even start. And I think what you're saying here is like, just start and keep improving it as you go. And then you could get do the fancier things. Is that right?
Exactly. That's always, I think, the best advice that we could, implement in our coaching businesses is whatever gets you started, gets you, getting your feet wet and learning as you go. And you'll learn from, what's being opened, what's being clicked on, and what to write more of based on what the data will tell you and show you. Yeah. So definitely just get started with what you can and build from there.
Mm-hmm. What about somebody who's like, well, I only have 5 people on my list, so why bother?
Well, I think if you're looking to start an email list, knowing your intention behind it is important, and knowing that you want to share good value with people that are interested to hear from you. And whether that starts with 5 or 50, nonetheless, those are still people that could be potential clients that could potentially learn something from you, and that could, maybe get some value and share it with another friend or another coach in their world, or another, potential client in their world. So starting with the intent, I think if you want to share good content and you want to be in this for the long haul with your coaching business and having email marketing as a pillar of communication, then start where you are, and you can always build up from there. But I think it's important to have that right intention behind it. And if you're just going to send emails to 5 people and never have plans to grow it, then it might not be worth jumping into it just yet. But if you want to grow it and you want to keep adding more value to more people's lives, then it's worth jumping into and start, even if you think you're not ready.
Yeah. And what would you say to people who are like, well, do people even check their emails? I don't check my emails, so I feel like nobody's checking their emails, so why bother? I'm saying statements I've heard.
I'm sure I've heard of them too. Yeah. And those are the same statements I've heard from clients who've gone on to then go bring in 6 figures to their same email list. And it's really that sort of fallacy that, yes, social media is growing. Yes, we see all these trends and all these viral videos going crazy on TikTok or whatever social platform. But at the end of the day, those social platforms are owned by, the businesses that run them, and they can change the algorithm. They can ban you from the platform, and there goes your whole audience. So if you don't deplatform people who are in your audience to your email list, you don't actually own that attention. You don't own that opportunity to connect with people that you want to help. So if you don't, move people to an email list, you don't own, that method of communication. So email is really that only real place online where you can have people's emails to communicate with them for life, assuming that they, don't ditch their email address. And yes, maybe people are subscribing with burner emails or something like that, but that's a whole nother story. But, thinking about the fact that email has always been proven to be a great channel for conversion, and a great way to build more connection with those that you want to serve.
So true. Yeah. And I'm really glad I stuck with my email list, because originally, same here, mine was small and I grew it over time, over years. And now it's at a good size, and it's, I even want to continue growing it, but it's now to a point where I know if I do a promo or something, things are going to come out of it, versus before, when I was first starting, I had to really build up that list and nurture them for a while until I saw the conversions. But when you stick with it, it is a really amazing, warmer platform, as you said. And we don't own the social media platforms, as you said. And I actually, right now, if I'm listening to this in December 2022, Instagram lately has been shutting down people's accounts for kind of no rhyme or reason. And there's some kind of glitch going on.
Right.
And I've had some people I've talked to who've actually been dealing with this, and they can't get their stuff back. And so if they had an email list of their followers, or had been, mentioning that to their followers as they go, they would be in a better position, right? So what about when it comes to growing your list? Is there, or with email copywriting too, that you do with your clients, is there any things that you've realized oh my gosh, here's a little secret, this totally works, or hey, when you add a name to your subject line, this will improve open rates, or anything that you've noticed really work well with a client or with yourself throughout the years?
Well, you just hit the nail on the head with that one. I think, personalizing your emails in general is great, but to be able to also use that personalization in the subject line, make people feel like this is for them in the barrage of what might be in their inbox is a great way to get higher opens. I think the biggest thing that I've, seen my clients really help improve their email performance and even just their own ability to keep writing good emails that get clicks, that get opened, is to really make a practice of it and to be using the sort of simple copywriting formulas, right? So to just think about looking at a blank page of an email, just like a post or writing whatever it might be, can be really overwhelming. And to just increase your copy chops a little bit to have basic understanding of what sort of what's the purpose of a subject line, right? That's just to get people to open it. What's the purpose of your first line of copies? Just to get someone to read the next one, and so on and so forth. So to be able to sort of learn some certain copywriting formulas, frameworks, has been a big game changer for my clients, where now they feel like, okay, I know my story. How do I structure it in a way that's helpful? I know what I want to say. Now I've got a structure for it, and now I can see people actually read through the whole email, and they're actually coming to the bottom and clicking. On that note, great way to sort of get people to further engage with you is instead of just driving them to go book a call in an email, it might be to hit reply, right, and have them respond back with a certain word where you can engage with them, or to respond back and just share what they're working on or what their biggest problem might be, something so that you can provide some more value. And again, that's a great way to if you're building freebies and you have stuff that you can share from your sort of program for free with your subscribers, it's a great way to build more loyalty and have people show up and want to keep reading your emails and further engage with you. So I think engaging in a way to give them more value, getting people to reply and sign up, or to hit reply and ask for a freebie that you're giving away to solve another problem of theirs, is a great way to keep showing them those micro wins that you can keep helping them with, and hopefully bring them into your world further to work with you.
Love that. Yeah. So personalization is a big thing. What about text overwhelm? Overwhelm with writing emails, overwhelm with, dealing with the tech of the email system. Any tips that you tell your clients to help them with just feeling overwhelmed?
Yeah, I think the mindset piece, I know you do a lot of mindset coaching with your clients, and that's always the most important piece to start with, is looking at the intention behind it all. You might have a mountain that looks like a lot of tech work that you have to get through to get there, but it's simpler than you think. There's less steps involved than you probably think, and you don't have to worry about looking at the top of the mountain with it right now. Just look at the next few feet in front of you. With anything in growing your coaching business, that's true. But it's really a step-by-step sort of logical path, and that if you absolutely don't want to engage with the tech, can always go and hire someone out to help you with that. Someone like myself who helps set up the automation. You could find someone on Upwork or Fiverr who could just basically create the framework for you, and then you just have to put in the copy, or have someone guide you through that process. Getting a sort of course to be able to help you get your sort of awareness in check and not be so overwhelmed by it. But really, I think that the mindset of knowing that it's a simple sort of system, and it's built with a lot of instruction manuals. Support is great from some of these tools to ask them what's going on, what's not working, and to actually send out just campaign emails to people is a great starting place if you don't want to worry about setting up sequences and having too many steps in your automation beyond your welcome sequence. So that's always a few things you could do to reduce the overwhelm. I think really just approaching it with the perspective that you've got it. It's a simpler system than you think, and you're more capable of handling the tech than you know.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, good advice. And what about if somebody is, I had two questions for you. Now they're leaving my head. They were both kind of follow-ups to this. Expectations. So what are some expectations we should have with email marketing, like as far as knowing if it's going well or not, like open rates, or any stats of, or anything like that you would want to share?
Yeah, there's been a lot of changes going on with email in the wake of some more privacy concerns and having things be a little bit more generous as far as open rates go since like iOS 14. But really, if you're seeing that your open rate is growing or staying consistent, that's a good sort of metric of looking at, okay, people are at least continuing to open my stuff. People are opening more of my stuff. something must be working here, right? And if you're getting, at least 10% opens, that might be a good starting place if you've not had anyone, engage with your list. But, ideally like to see my client emails, get opened at least 20% of the time by people on their list. And, another great sort of tip on that front is I've got a whole, guide of different KPIs that you can be tracking and looking at. But if you can look at things that are getting clicked on, right? We mentioned that, and that'll give you an idea of what people are interested in and what they're not. But ultimately, if you can always put something in your emails for them to click on, that's the best measure of really where there's engagement, right? Your open rate might be a little bit inflated due to this these changes in email marketing. But if you have links, you have buttons, you have people replying, those are real metrics. You can see, okay, people are actually coming into your email. They're clicking a link to your group. They're clicking a link to go and book a call with you, whatever it might be. Let the links being clicked kind of guide your real sense of like, okay, people are opening things, that's good. People are clicking things, that's better. And if people are driving to the actual conversion place of whether that's just hitting send on a reply or actually booking a call or whatever that might be, then you're really getting a good read. And keeping track of your numbers on like in anything is going to give you an idea of how things are going.
Yeah. And I think too, something to point out about clicks, I agree, like look at what is doing the best, but I think we should tell the audience, because maybe I'm wrong on this, but I think there should be, it's still, most people are not going to click your links. So you're still good and doing well if your click rate is like, what would you say like 2%, 3%? I don't know.
Yeah, that'd be amazing if you're getting that.
Yeah. So this would be amazing if you're getting a 2 to 3% click rate. So when we're saying look at your click rates, we're not saying are 100% of people clicking on your link. Well, if not, you're doing it wrong. No, you're doing it right. If you're getting like 2 to 3% would be amazing, right?
Yeah,
I have somewhere it's like less than 1%. So, and it still works, and I still get clients from my email list. So that's the point that we're trying to drive home, I think, is look for improvements and things like that, right?
Yeah, and steady consistency is kind of the name of the game. People keep seeing your name in their inbox. They keep checking in on your emails here and there. They click a link here or there, and they start to know a bit more about who you are, and they feel more connected to you and about what you do.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, this has been super juicy. Thank you for sharing all of your tips. And I want to let everybody know where they can connect and find you. And then we got to hop off to do a live in your Facebook group.
Yeah, excited to jump into that. But thanks for having me, Hailey. And if you guys have any questions, like I said, happy to share. I've got an email marketing sort of, 7 sins of email marketing. I've got a sort of KPI guide. If you guys want any of those, just I'll drop a comment down below. You can message me. Happy to send those over. And I'm happy to offer a free kind of email audit to, a few people from the group as far as capacity kind of, allows. So yeah, feel free just to send me a DM, and happy to answer any other questions or whatever you might have, and sharing lots more value like this in the Scaling Remotely community.
Awesome. Well, thank you for those freebies, and we'll be sure to get those in the show notes when this becomes a podcast, and I'll talk to you soon.
Great. Thanks, Hailey.
Thanks.
Hey, thanks so much for listening to this podcast. And if it's really helpful for you, I'd really appreciate if you share it and or leave a written podcast review. This tells the podcast sites that our show is useful, and it will be promoted to more people that way. Thanks again.